Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohammad Kulzari, and currently I am working as an Irish Research Council postdoctoral research fellow in the Department of Mechanical Manufacturing and Biomedical Engineering in Trinity College Dublin, here in Ireland. So today's talk would be about my PhD journey and my experience in this academic journey. So the outline of the talk is as follows. I will give a brief overview about my background as a speaker, and then I will try to answer some of the questions like what is PhD and how was my experience, how the PhD candidate is recruited and how to find a PhD position, what is actually the selection board is looking for when they are recruiting some PhD applicant, and some prerequisite and homework which is required by the PhD candidate. By prerequisites, I mean the documentation or some initial documents that needs to be prepared before applying for any PhD position and how to improve this. And finally, I will give an overview about the need for PhD, why a PhD is necessary. And I will also share some benefits, and we will proceed with the Q&A, and I hope that I may have some questions from your side. So about myself, I'm a civil engineer, and I did my civil engineering from University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore, Pakistan. I started from August 2013, and I finished it in May 2017. Soon after my graduation, I joined City University of Hong Kong as a PhD scholar, and I completed my PhD in July 2021. And after that, in September 2021 till now, I joined the Trinity College Dublin as an Irish Research Council postdoctoral research fellow. And I'm also working in the department as an adjunct lecturer, and the post of the lecturer here is equivalent to the assistant professor. So I have both research and teaching duties here in the department. This is my Google Scholar and ResearchGate profile. And when I started my PhD, I had no publication, but in these couple of years, my research findings are well recognized by the community, and this is just for the information. Now, before going towards the detailed procedure, I think one needs to know what is the purpose of being a PhD, or what is the expectation of society for a PhD from a PhD scholar. So in general, PhD is an independent research training program, which is usually offered by after master's degree. But for exceptional candidates, there are programs in place which allow them to directly start PhD soon after the bachelor. Such as my case, I don't have master's degree, and I joined this program directly after my bachelor. The duration of the PhD ranges from 3 to 7 years, and it is very subjective. It depends upon the progress of your thesis, and it also depends upon your supervisor and your work that you have conducted. And there are some criteria that needs to be fulfilled. So minimum is 3 years, which is quite exceptional, and maximum it can go to 7 or 8 years. So in the PhD candidate actually works on a specific research problem. So there is a specific research problem, and inside that research group, and that particular person is responsible to solve that problem during these 3 or 4 years or 5 years period. Candidate in this duration may have one or more supervisor. So you will be having a faculty staff, as an assistant professor, associate professor, or full professor who will be working as your supervisor, and you are answerable for all your research to him or her. And if you have any problem in process of your research, you will go and discuss with him. So as I mentioned, it's an independent research training. So that the major expectation from a PhD after the completion of this academic degree is that that person would be an independent researcher. He can conduct any type of the research independently. So candidate may also perform some teaching related duties, such as teaching assistantship. So in this, the duties involve some invigilation and in-class, sometimes lecture or some lab duties. So it varies from institution to institution. In this type of the degree program, you will be having annual progress report, which in which you will be giving your progress throughout the year. Let's say if your PhD is a 4-year program, so you must submit 3 annual progress report, and this progress report will be analyzed by a board of professors who are called as panel members, and those panel members will assess your progress, and you may also undergo some presentation for showing your progress and the future plan. And then at the end of the degree, you will present your finding as in the form of a final thesis defense, in which you will present all your research findings for this particular course of time to the well-informed faculty staff, some professors who are very well aware about your field, and you will defend your finding. You will present them, and there would be answer and question session in which they will ask and they will challenge you at different instances about some of the results that you have come across. So during this process, the candidate is expected to contribute in general in the research output to the community, which include but is not limited to journal article publication and conference attendance inside the conferences as well. If I'm speaking very fast, please send a message inside the chat and I will further slow down my speed. So how PhD applicant is recruited? This is a very fundamental question. The recruitment process consists of different phases and there are different opportunities available. So some of them is in the form of fellowship. Some sources could be institutional fund in which your university has some funding. Sometimes it is a project fund. And sometimes it's an industrial funding. Some industry has some problem and they want to solve this problem. So it depends from social science to engineering. I think all of them more or less will lie in this category. The fund is released by the government or industry or some trust organization, or it can be their mutual partnership. This funding covers the stipend, which is also called as scholarship amount or indirectly salary of the PhD student. Equipment charges, let's say in case of engineering or medical researches, we may need to buy some equipment for experiment test. So this funding amount will also cover to buy those equipments and other research related expenses, which include attendance in the conference and some other cost which is related to the ongoing research project. In case of the project funding, so what I just explained, it was more or less related to institutional fund and the fellowship. In case of the project funding, your supervisor is the principal investigator of the project. And a project can have more than one principal investigator and co-principal investigators. And project can have more than one. Sometimes it's multiple PIs who are involved. And those principal investigators, actually, they will generate the money for you as a PhD candidate before you join his or her research group. And then they will pay your stipend and all research expenses from that project money. In case of fellowship, stipend and research related expenses are usually covered by the government organization or the research body. For instance, in Hong Kong, when I was doing my PhD, it was through Hong Kong PhD Fellowship Scheme. And the Research Grant Committee, Research Grant Council, of Hong Kong was actually providing all the financial support to the PhD candidate, including the stipend throughout the PhD tenure. In case of the industry, this is a joint venture in which the PhD candidate will be having an industrial supervisor. Sorry, there is a typing mistake. And yeah, and the PhD candidate will be having an institutional, like the university supervisor and enterprise mentor. So you will be having two mentors, actually, one from the company and one from the university. So this is the general mechanism. Now, how this project or how these fellowships are working, how this money is actually generated from the government organizations and it comes and reach to you, that is quite a lengthy process. I will try to cover as much as possible, but if I left with something, please ask me in the Q&A session. Now, the funding positions. How to find a funding position? This is usually the question which is asked by most of the people. So I would say that usually I find the personal networking helps a lot. Let's say if you have a friend in Europe, in any European university, or in United States, in Singapore, Hong Kong, in other Chinese university, and then you can ask him or her about some professor whose research area is very much related to your research interest, then he or she can provide you some information about his current project status. Because for a professor, in order to hire a PhD, he or she must have funding. So if you know that that person has money, then you have a good chance to actually contact that person and get the position. Other than that, I think social media, including the Google search engine, this Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they are a very potential source of finding PhD position. You can just search on the Google with the main keyword of your research domain, some PhD position. You will see a lot of results there. The other way is if you are targeting some specific university or some specific country, then let's say Australia, you need to find out, you need to have keen observation on the university job portals of those universities. So usually sometimes the PhD positions are also announced on those job portals. Other than that, there are a lot of other websites. I just know these two websites and I usually use them and refer it to the people as well. So one is the academic positions website, in which later on I will show you how it works, and the university job website. So in this, there are some filters in which you can actually put the filter and specifically related to your field. If you are from engineering, social sciences, you can see PhD position, which is announced quite all over the world. Later on, I will show you an example how to access this. One other question is, like, what is the benefit of being a PhD student? For me, I think the biggest benefit is that you are going to get the highest like educational degree, highest academic degree. PhD is the highest degree in the academia, without paying the admission fees, or without paying just like for the master's and bachelor degree, you need to pay the semester fees and the other expenses. Instead, you are getting money while doing this research and getting this degree as well. So the stipend for the PhD program, it ranges from $1,900 to $2,500 United States dollar. Especially if you are talking about United States, it varies from state to state, but generally they lie within this range. And in Europe, it's 1,500 or 1,600 euro every month. And in Australia, in Asia, and other countries, more or less, the amounts are equivalent to this 1,500 or 1,600 euro, or as I said, 2,200 to 2,500 US dollar. The salaries are per month, the salaries are ranging in these domains. So if you go to the website of the position, then if you read the detail of the vacancy or PhD position, you will also come to know more how much they are going to pay you as a stipend. So there is another question, how we can improve our profile, or how an ideal PhD applicants look like. if I answer this question in a single line, it would be marketing. So if you are good in marketing yourself, then there is a greater chance of success. It's very simple. When you are applying for any position like you, there are number of applicants applying for that particular position. So the admission committee, they may not know you, how you look like, or where are you from, but they will see your documents that you have provided them. And those documents, if they are covering these parameters which I have listed, like academic excellence, which shows that how good you were in your master's and bachelor's degree. Nobody cares about your higher secondary school degrees. So it starts from bachelor and master's degree. Let's say if you are a topper in your class, if you are anything, you have to highlight those parts very carefully and very beautifully, that how I am academically excellent person. So you can quote different example. It's the one parameter. The second is the research ability and potential. Currently, if you have a publication or attended some conference, that is a bonus point. But let's say if you don't have any of them, then you can quote some example of how you have been involved in some research projects inside your university, which is not published, but you work with them and you get some experience. And most important thing is you have to tell them what you learned from those experiences and how it makes you a strong candidate or a strong researcher for the future. The third is communication and interpersonal skills, which is, I think, more related to your participation in societies inside the university. Same is the case, which lies also inside the fourth point, which is leadership abilities, and also how you are good in communication and interpersonal skills, your community contribution, that you have been involved with some NGOs, anything that is away from your field, but it is contributing to the society, that is considered inside these 2 points of the leadership skills and these communication interpersonal skills. And some universities, especially in Canada, they are looking for this equity, diversity, and inclusion statement. They will not ask you directly to provide this statement, but while writing your letter of motivation or statement of purpose, or while you're marketing yourself or building your case, you need to highlight this point very carefully. And for, I think, Afghanistan's perspective, you people have quite strong case because the world know that you have been, you people remain inside the war for past 40 years, and still you people are suffering. But despite those all facts, how you have competed, how you have managed to go through this education process, that is quite encouraging. So you have to include those stories as well inside your statement that will distinguish you from one another. Usually when I'm giving this talk to some PhD aspirants, I usually give them example of the makeup artist. So how a makeup artist makes someone so beautiful, like carefully, like putting the eye shades, the makeup stuff. So this is the same case for your application as well. So what I actually list here, they are very general, but they are very specific as well. These are the important factor which is actually judged all across the world. They just see these 4 and 5 parameter when they are looking at your application. So if your application consists of these 4 points and you portray them quite uniquely, then there is a greater chance of success in the application. So the prerequisite is you need to have a professional email address. By professional email address, I mean with your name. Let's say if your name is anything, so it should be your name rather than some other thing which is not related to directly your name. So it should be a professional email, and you need to understand, like you need to have good email writing skill as well. In future, we may have some session about this as well. I will talk with the colleague. It's very important how to write an email, because usually the professors are too busy. And yeah, So the session is going to, I think, end in 10 minutes. I will ask our colleague, Rasa, please share the second invitation link inside the group as well, and here in the chat as well. So if it ends, we will directly switch to the next one. But till that time, we will continue on this one. So the other one is your academic transcript, which is very important, and degrees, bachelor's degree, master's degrees. You need to have them in the scan form with you inside a different folder. You need to have a very good CV. If you're applying for a job, the CV is different. If you're applying for a research position, the CV is different. So for the research position or the PhD, people are not very much interested in the industry, but of course that is a bonus, but they are more looking towards your research experience and publications. And a cover letter, again, for them, we can have a different section. Research proposal, the most important entity of the document is research proposal. Research proposal will tell, you need to portray to the admission committee that what is your idea of completing your PhD in that specific idea, how you are going to conduct your research, and how this research is going to contribute to the scientific or the social community. So research proposal is also quite a broad topic, but if you have any question, I will cover it. Other than that, we can have a different section for this one as well. Very important is IELTS, TOEFL, GRE. If you're interested to go to United States, GRE is must. But if you're not interested in the United States, then at least go for IELTS. IELTS is acceptable in Canada, in all over the world, in Europe, in every place. At least go for the IELTS. A score of 6.5 above is good. So 6.5 above is very good. If you can go higher than that, that's a bonus. Motivation letter or statement of purpose. This is other document. So it varies. Like if you are applying for United States, they ask for statement of purpose. Usually it's 2 or 3 length, 2 or 3 pages, and it tells you about your story. So again, statement of purpose is also a separate topic, which needs a separate session. And yeah. So some of the benefit of the PhD, the good thing is that you will get a good scholarship with excellent research training. You will become a researcher with a good scholarship. You will have some money as well. You will become, so if you see the PhD, for my understanding, it's now becoming a very normal academic degree because of the high number of the PhDs being recruited every year from all across the world. So it's a necessity. You have to do it. And it's necessary for the current societal development. If you want to contribute to the society, you must have many PhDs, because PhDs actually do actually groundbreaking research. International exposure is another point. You will be going for conferences in different parts of the world, and you will meet amazing people from the scientific or from social communities, from those who are from social sciences, and you'll having good interaction with them. PhD is quite different from master's and bachelor's degree, which is related to the coursework. PhD is more practical work. You are solving the problem on your own. So in that process, you will learn a lot of things. The other most important, I think, benefit is easy immigration process and permanent residency. So if you go to Canada, Australia, European countries, United States as well, and their immigration process, a person with a PhD degree is highly encouraged, and they are given more like score. If you go to Canadian system and see their scoring system, PhD is one of the parameters which has the highest score. So if you're a PhD, actually, for my thinking, as of now, my experience, you are an international citizen. Even though if you have an Afghani passport, but your PhD, everyone's door is open for you. So yeah, here actually the session ends, and I'm going to stop the recording.